All right. Hi, everybody. It is a little after 8:15 on Tuesday evening, getting things started right on time. Thanks for joining this little Facebook and YouTube Live. If you are new to these weather chats, this is kind of an opportunity for us to interact sort of live on both Facebook and YouTube. I've got the comments up in front of me over here. I'm here just to take your questions on the forecast for really the next week. Once we get beyond the next week, forecast reliability tends to go down. But today, my Monday, everybody else's Tuesday, and it's been a busy couple of days here in the weather office. We were tracking monsoon thunderstorms in the Sierra, and earlier today, during our late morning show and during our noon show, we were also talking about a couple isolated thunderstorms in the valley and in the foothills. Even some lightning damage up in the Rockland area. Our Cecil Hannibal was on a story, lightning struck a tree and just kind of blew it apart. So pretty startling to see some of the images there. If you're watching from the valley or for the foothills, next couple of days are going to be much quieter than what we saw this morning. If you're watching from the Sierra, we do have a couple more rounds of some of these afternoon thunderstorms to talk about. So we'll look at that in a little bit more detail, and of course we'll look ahead to Labor Day weekend. I looked at Dirk earlier today. I can't believe it's already Labor Day this weekend. This summer has really gone by quickly, and of course, with the last week or so aside, it's been really comfortable. We had 4 days in a row with 100 plus for the valley last Thursday through Saturday, or last Wednesday through Saturday. But don't see any 100s in the near future, but also don't see any cooler weather, at least not for this week. That may change into next week. So we'll talk a little bit about the extended forecast too here over the next 15, 20 minutes, however long I can kind of ramble on for. But again, if you're just joining us, post your questions over in the comments. I got the Facebook page and the YouTube channel pulled up next to me. And all right, let's get going. We'll try and do these a couple of times a week and just talk about whatever inspires us. So it's 8:17 now. This is the radar loop over the past hour. You can see I've got the lightning layer turned on. Yeah, there's still a lot of it, although the rain fortunately has really quieted down up around the Truckee area. There was a flash flood warning for this stretch of 80 in eastern Nevada County getting over into Nevada, the I-80 stretch between Truckee and Verdi. If you travel that area frequently, number one, you know how steep of a grade it is in some sections. Number two, if you've traveled it while it's raining, you know how fast the rain can just run off down the hill there. That's exactly what happened earlier today. So radar estimates were between, I think, 1.5 and 2 inches of rain over kind of a small section of 80 here. And reports of some small debris that got washed over the roads. Sounds like things have cleaned up, and you can see here that the rain has fortunately stopped. So things quieter along 80. Still a little bit of light rain there along Highway 50, but a lot less in the way of lightning around South Lake Tahoe. Just kind of a stormy day around Tahoe today, but the worst of the lightning earlier was up around Susanville into eastern Plumas County, where we had a severe thunderstorm warning at about 3:45 this afternoon. We had some small hail. Now the lightning is focused into Tehama County. Look at this cell moving southward. If it holds together, yeah, we could see some lightning in northern Butte County over the next hour. Also some lightning up here into Shasta County. Siskiyou County starting to clear out, but wow, look at all the lightning into Modoc County. Yeah, we have a little lightning counter that we can turn on here on these maps, so just out of curiosity. All right, our computer counting the number of strikes in the last 15 minutes inside that red box. So 189 now, 209 strikes. Yeah, so still pretty active in the mountains this evening. Just kind of a classic monsoon setup there. By the way, I did a quick video on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages talking about what a monsoon is. I feel like, kind of colloquially, when you hear monsoon, or maybe you use the word monsoon, you're talking about a heavy rainstorm. Technically, that's not quite what it is. A monsoon is just a seasonal shift in the winds. So for North America, the desert Southwest, that means the wind switches from primarily the west to more primarily the south. So you get that south wind, you draw moisture up from the south, which geographically speaking, that's the eastern tropical Pacific, the Gulf of California, and you get just the right pattern. Can come from the Gulf of Mexico as well. And you get a high positioned in just the right place, like what we have now. Some of that monsoon moisture gets dragged over into Northern California, and then it just kind of gets wrung out over the terrain. So monsoon, a shift in the winds, not just a single downpour. So monsoon lasts for an entire season. For the Southwest, it's June through mid-September-ish. So we're in prime time for the monsoon right now. I just want to show you what that looks like here, what that monsoon moisture shows up as. So different kind of satellite here. We're not necessarily looking at cloud cover. We're looking at areas of moist air and areas of dry air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So anything in orange, that's where the air is dry. Anything in these whites and blues, and in more extreme cases, some of the oranges, that's the moisture. So you can kind of trace it. I'll loop it here so you can see. We'll zoom it out a little bit too. So you can see the moisture kind of slowly wrapping its way up from the south and then getting pulled back across Northern California. So that's the monsoon pattern. Let's talk about these thunderstorms that are coming up because of it. So yesterday, today, over the weekend, we had these afternoon thunderstorms in the Sierra. We'll see more of that tomorrow too. This is our in-house model. This is something we can see here. You can't necessarily access on the internet from where you are. We'll get to some of those models here in just a second. One thing maybe you notice from the radar I just showed you to what you're looking at here, this is the same time frame. Yeah, this model kind of underdoing the rain. So not the best what we would call initialization. That doesn't mean it's going to get tomorrow wrong, but it is something we keep in mind is, how is the model doing right now? But it has the general idea of, overnight tonight, the clouds clear out just like the last couple of nights, things quiet down. But then right around noon, 1 o'clock tomorrow, we start getting these downpours popping up again from Plumas County down through Tahoe, eastern Tuolumne County, the high country of Yosemite National Park, all in line for some of these thunderstorms. What you don't see are the little downpours that we saw in parts of the valley earlier this morning, and I don't think we're going to see a recurrence of that tomorrow. So if you have morning plans in the valley or the foothills, I don't think these thunderstorms will get in your way. But certainly anything going on outdoors in the Sierra, any hiking, biking, running, just running around doing your errands, expect the thunderstorms to be there between about 1 and 8 o'clock in the evening. Hard to pinpoint exactly where. Our forecast models aren't that good. Maybe someday they will be, but in the near future they will not be. They just kind of pop up at random. So downpours, small hail, thunder and lightning a possibility tomorrow afternoon or early tomorrow evening. And we added Thursday as well. Now, this is interesting. So this is an updated version of the model compared to what you may have seen us show at 5 or 6 or even 7 o'clock this evening. This model updates somewhere around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening. So now we're looking at the new run. This one is showing less thunderstorm activity over the Sierra Crest on Thursday, but we're going to leave that chance for a stray shower or thunderstorm in the forecast regardless. I do think that Wednesday is going to be more active than Thursday, and again, we're really just talking about the Sierra here. So again, if you're in the Sierra, if you're traveling that way, maybe you're going up and over the summits over towards Reno or Carson City, there will be thunderstorms that can cause some wet roads, some slick roads. So keep that in mind. All right, that takes us through Thursday. Let's talk a little bit about the holiday weekend, because Labor Day weekend is fast approaching. Bear with me here while I call up our in-house model. This is just kind of to show the big picture. So for those that follow weather forecasting closely, this is the GFS, the Global Forecasting System, also known as the American model. And this is just looking at big picture ideas. So you see all the monsoon moisture here. This is 8 o'clock this evening, so essentially now. There's our big area of high pressure that's helping to drive that moisture northward. The flow around it goes clockwise. You can see the wind arrows over here. So it pulls the moisture up from the south. As we go through Wednesday and eventually Thursday, that high gets weaker. It shrinks to the south. So we lose that tap of moisture that was bringing the thunderstorms northward, and we'll lose the thunderstorm chances. Friday through the weekend is going to be dry in the Sierra. It's going to be dry in the valley and the foothills too. So that's what we can tell you for certain this holiday weekend. It's going to be dry. So good news for any kind of outdoor plans. I know I'm hoping to do maybe a little bit of paddleboarding, maybe a little bit of hiking. Weather should be good for that. It is going to be warmer Saturday and Sunday compared to what we have right now in the valley. Today it was low to mid 90s. Saturday and Sunday could be maybe even upper 90s for the end of the weekend. It's all going to depend on just how close this area of high pressure gets and how strong it is. Notice we really don't see these little onshore wind arrows. We really don't have all that much of that. As we get a little closer, we can fine tune, but plan on Saturday and Sunday being on the hotter side. We don't have any triple digits in the forecast, but we don't have any 80s either. Here's what could change things early next week, and this is also where a little bit of uncertainty starts to come into play. So this is early Wednesday morning of next week. Models are hinting at this little area of low pressure kind of dropping in from the north. And notice the flow around that. We get that southwesterly wind, we get the onshore breeze to start to pick up, and that could cool us back down a little bit and keep temperatures in the 80s for a few days next week. As of right now, we do not have 80s in the 7-day forecast, but if that trend holds, maybe by tomorrow we'll make some adjustments and we can cool things down just a little bit. Okay, those were the in-house models. Let's go back. Bear with me while I cue something up here. Let's take a look at some more high-resolution models that show thunderstorm chances. We'll start with the HRRR. All right, and this, go with the 0Z, so the most recent, longer range run of the model. So here's right about now. This is doing a much better job with those showers that we had lingering north of Tahoe earlier. Yeah, it's just showing a little bit more activity. So this is a little more believable compared to our in-house model. Let's see, this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so we back this up. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms isolated at first, but becoming a little more numerous and a little widespread. Notice how they're kind of blowing off to the east, so perhaps the Tahoe area gets soaked early on in the afternoon and then gets spared a little bit in the evening. I would believe that with that area of high pressure starting to shrink away. This is Thursday afternoon. So this model's showing even less activity around Tahoe compared to even what I showed you with our in-house model. So again, I still think we'll leave that chance for a stray thunderstorm in the forecast for Thursday, but Wednesday is certainly the busier of the 2 weekend days, or weekend days, look at me jumping ahead already. Wednesday's the busier of Wednesday and Thursday as far as thunderstorm activity goes into the Sierra. Okay. So those were the thunderstorm chances. I'll pull up the 7-day forecast just so we have it as a reference in front of all of us. Yeah, nothing too exceptional here. It's going to be a nice holiday weekend, all things considered. Mornings will be a little bit warmer compared to what we saw today, compared to what we'll see tomorrow. You see Sunday morning there, valley low temperatures starting in the mid-60s, ending up in the upper 90s. So if you are planning any sort of picnic, any sort of large gathering, if it's going on Saturday or Sunday afternoon, just make sure you have ways for folks to stay cool. If everybody's coming over to your house, let them in and enjoy the air conditioning for a little bit. If you're going to be out maybe picnicking, hopefully you're near some water and you can cool down from time to time. Of course, make sure everybody, especially the kids, have their life jackets if they're going to be going in the water. But there you see, starting to cool things down as we get into the early part of next week. All right, I think we can keep this fairly brief tonight. That's all I got for you. So thunderstorm chances in the Sierra, especially tomorrow. Maybe a couple of stragglers on Thursday, but Friday all the way through Labor Day on Monday. Dry. It's going to be warm in the valley. We are not going to see a recurrence of the thunderstorms that we saw this morning in the lower elevations. So relatively uneventful, but for those that are waiting on maybe a more robust stretch of cooler weather like what we saw in July, we're not quite there yet, but September starts next Monday. Yeah, so eventually we will get there. eventually it will cool down and it will stay that way, but we'll see how the next week goes. All right, thanks for joining me. Again, if you have any questions, post them in the comments there, and I'm doing my best to share on my social media pages ahead of time when we're going to do these little live chats. But for now, thinking Tuesdays and Thursdays, sometime around 8:15, where we